Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. Thanks for watching. So I'd like to start off today by using the word disappointment. I know that's going to come to as a surprise to a lot of you. I'm going to explain. I'm disappointed that Justice League didn't fare as well as we all hoped it would. Justice League is the Avengers of the DC universe. It's the one that was going to make $1 billion, the one that was going to make close to $2 billion. It's the one that was going to break records. It's the one we were all going to be talking about. It's the one we were excited about. It's the one that critics and fans alike were going to embrace, cheer about, be thrilled to have. It's the one that was going to bring back Superman. It's the one that we were all going to be talking about, quoting, reliving scenes of, and seeing multiple times. My disappointment stems from the fact that it made $96 million at the domestic box office. That being said, it did make, I believe, over 200 worldwide, which is still pretty good numbers. It's not a record. It's not better than most of the Marvel films that have made lots of money. Definitely not bigger than Avengers, not bigger than the Iron Man films, but it very disappointingly made less than Suicide Squad's opening weekend domestically, less than Wonder Woman's opening weekend domestically, less than both Man of Steel and Batman v Superman's opening weekends domestically. I'm disappointed that this is clearly going to be the end of Zack Snyder's relationship, and I know that a lot of people are rejoicing that. I know that a lot of people are saying, at least finally we can move past that, but here's the problem. I don't know where they go from here. I don't know what their next move is. The Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman sequel are all on the slate, and I assume they're not going to cancel those, but you wouldn't expect that they would be really optimistic about a Flash or an Aquaman film when the movie that first introduced them and had all the heroes together, including Superman's return and Wonder Woman, that did do well at the box office altogether, didn't do well at all. Now, it's only been open 1 week, not even a week yet, so it could still get word of mouth out, but when the word of mouth is so bad, when the critical reviews are so bad, this whole Rotten Tomatoes thing, which I think is bad in general, is so bad, it's hard to get positive word of mouth going. And I, who have been a proponent of Zack Snyder's and a fan of the works, even if there are some questionable things Superman might have done or Batman might have done, or things that people couldn't picture smiling, happy, saving cat from a tree Christopher Reeve doing, which is where most people get their idea of who Superman is, I still thought myself that those films were such complex, deep, human films about a Superman who is not human at all, but is extremely human, and as Bruce says in Justice League, more human than he is. Superman's humanity has always been his greatest superpower, and a lot of people complained that the amount of people he allowed to die in the movie, the amount of death he caused, the killing of Zod, and the things like that, negative comments like maybe you should have let the kids all die in the school bus. I admit, when you say that out loud, it sounds really bad. But I've been through all the reasons why they work and why they're so emotional and why it's so complex. For me, that doesn't mean it works for you. That doesn't mean it works for anyone else. But it was successful, even though people have complained about it from the beginning. Batman v Superman, also successful box office-wise. Not as big as Marvel. They're not setting any worlds on fire. They haven't beaten the records, and I swore that and hoped that Man of Steel would beat Titanic when it came out. It did not. Avengers did that, and none of the DC films have come close. BVS got a little closer, but by that time there had been other records now set by the Marvel Universe films that had done well. So I'm disappointed that this new take on Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, the DC characters created by Zack Snyder for the screen did not meet everyone's expectations. I'm disappointed because I watched Man of Steel and BVS right before I went to see Justice League the night before, and I was so amped up. I fell in love with those movies. I fell in love with the soundtrack. I fell in love with the epicness of them, the depth of character, the seriousness of them, the way they just really took everything realistically, and a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people want complete fantasy. I guess the world's become a much darker place. People are sad in their everyday lives, and they want to go see a movie like a Marvel film that makes them laugh, that makes them cheer, that has great action, that has great heroes, and is just very positive. So in the Marvel Universe, they gloss over any amount of deaths, any amount of actual destruction in favor of jokes and smiling heroes and laughter. And I'm just disappointed that DC felt it necessary to attempt to go that route, and that Justice League feels so much differently than the previous two films that are really connected to it. There's also Suicide Squad, there's also Wonder Woman, which she's in this movie, so that's also connected. But in a lot of ways, this is a sequel to Batman v Superman, which was a sequel to Man of Steel. Wonder Woman's kind of a standalone that takes place in another time, that has a character that's in this movie and figures very heavily in the future of the DC Universe, but not a direct link, not a direct sequel, other than the character is in it. And I'm disappointed that, for me, even though from what I've seen, most of the fans, most of the Superman homepage staff, most of you guys love it, are thrilled the way it went down, have seen it 5, 6 times, 2 times, 3 times, and are just jumping up and down. And I think it's because we got a smiling Superman. I think it's because we got to see Superman as the important, strong, most powerful Justice League member that maybe we weren't sure of before, and that's all great. But at the same time, I'm disappointed that it just didn't fall that way for me. We'll continue this discussion next week. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky.